Your Excellency, Mr. President, and distinguished First Lady, Ekabo Shadani. My wife and I are delighted to welcome you to Windsor Castle here on this occasion, and we are most grateful to you for travelling during this holy month, which I acknowledge is no small sacrifice, and so it is my particular pleasure to wish you, Mr. President, peace, blessings, and an abundance of joy. And Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak.
During my most recent visit to Nigeria in 2018, when I was fortunate enough to be able to spend some time with your highly respected traditional leaders, the Sultan of Sokoto, the Uni of Ife, Unicho Wari, and the Emir of Kano, it was self-evident that while the warmth of the Nigerian welcome remains constant, the country itself is transforming at a remarkable pace. Nigeria hasn't merely changed, it has arrived. Yours is now a nation of over 230 million people, half of whom are under 18, with the energy, ingenuity, ambition, and resolve to address the great challenges of our age. We in the United Kingdom are blessed that so many people of Nigerian heritage, having chosen Britain as their home, are now at the heart of British life through excelling at the highest levels of business, technology, academia, law, science, sport, literature, and the arts. I have met so many of these quiet heroes in our schools, businesses, National Health Service, and universities, including countless young people who have flourished through the work of my King's Trust over the last 50 years. Only last week, I was delighted to host a rather lively group of them for a jollof and tea party at St. James's Palace. I was firmly assured that the jollof was only the best, Nigerian, of course. Or perhaps it was Ghanaian or Senegalese. Diplomatically, I cannot remember. But who could have imagined that when I first visited Nigeria 36 years ago today, so many of those I might have met would have gone on to have such an impact in the United Kingdom? From Afro beats filling our concert halls and Nollywood captivating our screens, to stars competing in our Premier League and adjudicating our highest courts, so much of Britain's culture is, in truth, profoundly enriched by Nigeria. Whether they are Nigerians who have chosen Britain as their adopted place to invest, trade, or study, or Britons who cherish their personal connection to Nigeria, they all represent a living bridge of over 500,000 people who connect our nations, Mr. President, and help make our cultures richer, our shared security stronger, and our economies more prosperous. We are proud that so many great examples of this living bridge join us here this evening. As the connections between our nations deepen every day, so too do the economic ties. Your visit has provided the opportunity to celebrate the fact that Nigeria is investing in Britain's future as much as Britain is investing in Nigeria's. Leading Nigerian banks have chosen the City of London as a global base. Examples of the best Nigerian companies have listed on London Stock Exchange, and UK Export Finance is supporting investment in Nigeria's ports. In education, British schools and universities are opening their doors in Nigeria, and British and Nigerian technology companies are forming ever closer partnerships. I was pleased to see that visitors from Nigeria spent £178 million in Britain in 2024, and 251,000 people from Britain travelled to Nigeria and spent just as much in return. And in January of this year, Nigeria became the United Kingdom's biggest export market in Africa. And whilst I hear that in Nigeria the phrase "made in UK" has always symbolised the highest quality, it evidently now has a distinctively Nigerian flavour. The friendship between our two countries, Mr. President, is a partnership of equals that has brought us both enormous benefits. It has been described to me as a deeply spiritual connection beyond churches and mosques, a deep bond through which we have strengthened our shared security, ensured our economies are more prosperous, and empowered each other to believe in a more hopeful future. The many dynamic connections between our two nations have deep roots, and yet I do not pretend that those roots are without a shadow. There are chapters in our shared history that I know have left some painful marks. I do not seek to offer words that dissolve the past, for no words can. But I do believe, as I know you believe, Mr. President, that history is not merely a record of what was done to us. It is a lesson in how we go forward together to continue building a future rooted in hope and growth for all, and worthy of those who bore the pains of the past. This afternoon, in another part of the castle, Mr. President, you and I witnessed one such example of how we are learning from one another when we met leaders of the British Christian and Muslim communities. The gathering was a deeply meaningful symbol of what Nigeria has long shown, that people of different faiths can, do, and must live alongside one another in peace, in harmony, and in shared purpose. It was also a timely reminder of the importance of standing with you and in us strengthening your quick reaction forces, or in providing food, nutrition, and protection services in northern Nigeria when challenges disturb the age-old balance between these communities. Your nation, Mr. President, is an economic powerhouse, a cultural force, and an influential diplomatic voice from a continent that is playing an increasingly important role in the world. In a vastly interconnected global environment, one that is changing at unimaginable speed, that leadership brings responsibility and opportunity. I heed the Yoruba wisdom, and forgive me if I say it in English, that rain does not fall on one roof alone. And as you observed so astutely before the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Samoa in 2024, if we didn't have this global alliance of 56 member states, 2.7 billion people, and a combined GDP forecast soon to surpass $20 trillion US, there would be a need to create one. I believe firmly that when rain clouds gather, we can tighten the grip of friendship between us, and in so doing, reinforce the central role of the Commonwealth in our shared future. As the world changes, these are lessons we must heed now more than ever. As the Hausa saying goes, When the music changes, so does the dance.
Yes.
We can learn from Nigeria and the best of the UK and Nigeria's partnership and harness the advantage that comes from our common languages, our similar legal systems, and the web of cultural ties and spiritual connections that provide such deep trust between us, and look to the future and learn new dance steps together. Mr. President, you have spoken in particular of the importance of expanding intra-Commonwealth trade by creating shared standards, regulatory and digital alignment, and removing barriers that deter investment. As the UK and Nigeria's enhanced trade and investment partnership is just such an example, so that our economies can grow in harmony with nature and create the millions of jobs our citizens need. So as we look towards CHOGM this year, I hope, far from being past its time, we can demonstrate that the Commonwealth's time has come, as you so rightly said. In achieving that, my wife and I will gain strength from seeing Nigeria take her rightful place at the heart of the Commonwealth, and to standing alongside you as a friend who believes the future is best when built together. As the Igbos say, knowledge is never complete, two heads are better than one. So as I close, Mr. President, in anticipation of Eid al-Fitr in Nigeria and across the world, I can only wish you and the millions of Muslims in our countries Eid Mubarak. And in doing so, let me propose a toast to the President and people of Nigeria. Niger no day carry last.
Your Majesty, King Charles III, Queen Camilla, Prince William, the Prince of Wales and Duke of Cornwall, and Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. This is not Nigeria, no they carry last. It is a very splendid moment. It is with the profound honor to stand before you today, representing the people of Nigeria as we reaffirm the enduring bonds of friendship, history, and shared purpose that have united our two nations for several centuries. Allow me first to express my sincere appreciation to Your Majesty and to Her Majesty, the Queen, for the warmth and generosity extended to me, my wife, Oluremi, and the Nigerian delegation. As the first Nigerian leader to speak here at Windsor Castle, which has served the British crown for nearly a millennium, it is particularly historic. Windsor has stood as a symbol of continuity, witnessing the steady evolution of institutions that have shaped governance, culture, and public life, not only in Britain, but far beyond these shores. Nigeria and United Kingdom have shared more than just history. Our two nations share a vision of progress and resilience. Today, we continue that journey, committed to building a future rooted in partnership, mutual respect, and common values. Standing here in Windsor Castle, one cannot but help reflect on British impact on modern democratic governance worldwide. We remember the Magna Carta of 1215, which laid the early foundation for the rule of law and the development of parliamentary democracy, establishing enduring ideals around liberty, accountable government, and civic responsibilities. Great Britain thinkers and writers such as Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, and Edmund Burke helped to propagate those democratic ideals. This influence continues to resonate to this date. The literary genius of William Shakespeare and other writers such as Charles Dickens has enriched and shaped the English language, spoken by over 1.7 billion people worldwide. In Nigeria, element of this tradition continues to inform the institutional foundation of our own republic. Our court draws upon legal tradition rooted in English common law. Our parliamentary institution reflects constitutional practices that evolved here over centuries. Our civil service structure have also drawn upon administrative models developed in Britain and adapted to Nigeria's own national context. While institutions matters greatly, Your Majesty, our people remain the strongest bridge between our two countries. The Nigerian community in United Kingdom has become one of the most dynamic diaspora communities worldwide. Nigerians continue to contribute enormously to the vitality both here in England and in Nigeria. Within the National Health Service, Nigerian doctors and nurses play an indispensable role in delivering health care. Nigerian trained doctors are among the largest group of international medical professionals serving the NHS. In sport, rugby players such as Mario Tuje, footballers including Bukayo Saka, Eberechi Eze, and champion boxer Anthony Joshua illustrate the remarkable human connection that links Nigeria and the United Kingdom. Our partnership is further strengthened through the Commonwealth of Nations, which connects 56 countries under Your Majesty's leadership. Thank you very much for all you've been doing for us. We discussed at length earlier on today the essence of bringing over 2.7 billion people together and removing trade barriers. As one of the largest nations within the Commonwealth, Nigeria look forward to contributing constructively to the continued growth and vitality of this global community. However, our West African region faces complex terrorism challenges with roots in Sahel. Nigeria comes with an enormous responsibility to help safeguard regional stability. In confronting these threats, partnership with the United Kingdom remains essential, and I look forward to meeting with Prime Minister Keir Starmer tomorrow. Despite these challenges, Nigeria approaches the future with hope and confidence. We are a nation of diverse and vibrant people, of young people dreaming big, of entrepreneurs with a global outlook, and a hopeful people determined to realize their full potential, as I promised. Your Majesty, I am confident that the friendship between Nigeria and the United Kingdom will continue to grow stronger and better beyond jollof rice. Finally, Your Majesty, I want to express Nigeria's deep gratitude to the great nation, this great nation, for the refuge and support extended during the dark years of military dictatorship. Like many Nigerians involved in pro-democracy struggle, I find safety here, and I recall that my residence was placed under Metropolitan Police surveillance for protection following threats from agents of the junta. I thank you very much once again. That solidarity remains etched in our collective memory, and it is deeply humbling for me to stand here before you, Your Majesty, today as the President of Democratic Nigeria. On behalf of the government and the good people of Nigeria, I thank Your Majesty, Her Majesty the Queen, Prince William and Catherine, and Princess of Wales, other members of royal family, and the people of the United Kingdom for their long-standing friendship. Nigeria will not carry last. Your Majesty, Your Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, in the spirit of that friendship and our shared destiny, I invite you all to raise a glass with me. To the special bond between Nigeria and United Kingdom, and to the bright future that we shall build together. God bless His Majesty, the King. God bless Nigeria. God bless United Kingdom. And thank you very much.